Just weeks ago, Carlos Sainz did something that reminded the entire Formula One world of his incredible talent. He took a Williams, a team that hadn't seen a podium in years, and somehow managed to drag it onto the third step of the podium in Azerbaijan, and in the following race went from P18 to P8. But here's the thing everyone's asking, is Sainz the most underrated driver in Formula One right now? What's up, Formula One fans? Welcome back to the Gridmaster. If you've been following this season, you know that Carlos Sainz Jr., the Spanish driver born in Madrid, achieved something incredible in the last couple races. In Baku, he gave Williams their first podium finish in years, a result that literally nobody saw coming. But that's not even the full story. Just 1 week ago in Singapore, Carlos proved once again why he's called a smooth operator. Starting from P18 after a qualifying penalty, he delivered a masterclass drive to finish P8, a performance that showcased pure racecraft and tire management brilliance. Today, we're going to break down exactly how good Carlos Sainz really is. We'll analyze his entire career from karting to Ferrari to Williams, and by the end of this video, you will understand why this man might just be the most consistent driver nobody talks about enough. If you're ready to discover the truth about one of Formula One's most underrated talents, smash that like button and let's get into it. Let's start with Baku because this race changed everything for Carlos Sainz and Williams. Going to qualifying, nobody expected Williams to be anywhere near the front, but Sainz pulled off something magical, securing P2 on the grid, his best qualifying position since joining Williams. The paddock was buzzing. Most people thought it was just a one-off performance. Then came race day. What was truly shocking wasn't just Sainz's performance, it was how Red Bull dominated with such an overwhelming advantage. The real surprise was also the McLarens having their first genuinely terrible weekend of the season, with Piastri retiring and Norris struggling to P7, while Sainz was putting on a masterclass. We need to mention the incredible Toro Rosso drive, jumping from P5 to P2 with some brilliant overtakes, but the real story was Sainz. His pace in that Williams was simply extraordinary. He wasn't defending position, he was genuinely quick enough to stay ahead. Even Kimi Antonelli in a clearly superior Mercedes couldn't catch him, no matter how hard he tried. When the checkered flag fell, there he was, Carlos Sainz P3, giving Williams their first podium since 2021. Team principal James Vowles, who came from Mercedes as Toto Wolff's right-hand man, finally had his breakthrough moment. But here's what makes this even more incredible. This wasn't supposed to happen, not with this Williams car, not against this competition. So how did he do it? To understand Carlos Sainz, you have to understand where he comes from. His father, Carlos Sainz Sr., is an absolute legend in rallying, a sport that demands precision, consistency, and mental toughness under extreme pressure. Those genes, they definitely passed down. Growing up in Spain, Carlos had one clear idol, Fernando Alonso, the two-time world champion who proved that Spanish drivers could conquer Formula One. And yes, he's dating Rebecca Donaldson, the stunning Scottish model, but his success comes from pure driving ability. Carlos's journey through karting, Formula BMW, GP3 and Formula Renault 3.5 was marked by methodical improvement and an intense rivalry with the new Kvyat that would follow them both to Formula One. But when Carlos finally made it to Formula One in 2015, he was paired with someone who would become even more significant, a young Dutch driver named Max Verstappen. Carlos's Formula One story is one of constant adaptation and proving himself. Starting at Toro Rosso in 2015 alongside Max Verstappen, he showed he belonged, despite finishing behind the Dutch prodigy. When Max got promoted to Red Bull in 2016, Carlos outperformed returning teammate Daniil Kvyat, who was demoted back to Toro Rosso. But this was Carlos's moment to shine. He outperformed Kvyat throughout the season, proving that their junior Formula Years rivalry was no fluke. Carlos was simply the better, more consistent driver. 2017 saw him loaned to Renault as an engine distribution agreement with Red Bull. In the French team, he learned from Nico Hülkenberg, But when Daniel Ricciardo left Red Bull by the end of 2018 and signed with Renault, Sainz saw himself joining McLaren for the 2019 season, just as they were recovering from their worst seasons ever. Brazil 2019 changed everything. Starting dead last due to penalties, Carlos methodically worked his way through the field with surgical precision, finishing P4 on track. When Lewis Hamilton got penalized for colliding with Alex Albon, Carlos inherited his first Formula One podium. It was the first podium of a team that 5 years later would conquer the Constructors' World title. 2020 brought his first proper podium celebration at Monza with a P2 finish. In that year, he consistently outperformed Red Bull's Alex Albon and proved he deserved a top 10 seat. That's exactly what he got. Ferrari came calling for 2021, offering Carlos the chance to drive for the most famous team in motorsport. The pressure was immense, but Carlos was ready. Little did anyone know, his Ferrari years would showcase both his incredible highs and the cruel reality of Formula One politics. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Carlos' career, hit that subscribe button because we're about to uncover the Ferrari years. Carlos' first year at Ferrari was a statement season. 4 podiums, points in 19 out of 21 races, and he actually finished ahead of Charles Leclerc in the championship. Let that sink in. In his first year with a new team, he outperformed their golden boy. 2022 was even better. Carlos got his first pole position and then, at Silverstone, his first victory. The British Grand Prix win was emotional. Years of hard work finally paying off with the ultimate prize. Ferrari was so impressed they extended his contract by 2 years. 2023 might have been his most impressive season yet. While Red Bull dominated with arguably the most dominant car in Formula One history, Carlos managed to win Singapore, the only victory that season that didn't belong to Red Bull. But it wasn't just a win that was impressive, it was how he did it. In one of the most brilliant, strategic moves we've ever seen, Carlos deliberately slowed down to give Lando Norris in P2 the DRS advantage. Why? Because Russell and Hamilton were charging from behind with fresher tires and superior pace. By giving Norris that DRS boost, Carlos created a defensive wall that would protect his own victory. The plan worked perfectly. Russell couldn't get past Norris despite having the faster car, and in his desperation to overtake, he made contact and crashed out of the race. Carlos had just played 4D chess while driving at 300 km per hour, the smooth operator at his absolute finest. That's strategic mastery you simply can't teach. But 2024 showed his true character. Just days after having his appendix removed, Carlos was back in the car for Australia. Most people would have taken weeks to recover. Carlos, he won the race, driving through post-chirurgical pain, dealing with a healing scar, and still managing to outperform everyone else on the track. Then came the bombshell. Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari for 2025. Carlos was out despite his incredible performances. He knew he wasn't going to drive for Ferrari in 2025 in the worst possible way, with the announcement to the public. Ferrari didn't really care to inform him. The politics of Formula One had struck again. Fighting disappointment and anger, Carlos chose Williams for 2025. According to him, their ambitious project to return to winning ways was the deciding factor. There were rumors about Red Bull interest. Paddock gossips suggest Max Verstappen blocked the move. Now take a moment to remember a huge career disappointment in your life. If you are human, as we all are, it's hard when you hit the ground and even harder to get back on your feet, right? The incredible part about Sainz's mentality was that despite being rejected by the Maranello team, although he had delivered great performances over the years, Carlos didn't create any internal drama inside Ferrari, nor did he let his performance drop. Instead, he elevated his game, securing podium finishes in the final race of the calendar and conquering his last and fourth victory for the Prancing Horse team in Mexico. With an outstanding drive, and a well-deserved second-place finish in Abu Dhabi. This showcases Carlos Sainz's resilience at its finest. The 2025 season started promisingly for Williams with the Sainz-Albon partnership, the so-called Carbono, but then reality hit hard. A series of mechanical failures, crashes, and penalties created a massive streak of bad luck for Carlos. Race after race, something went wrong. The finishes in the points in China, Saudi Arabia, and other 4 tracks didn't reflect Carlos' potential. On at least 2 occasions, he was jeopardized by unfair penalties that destroyed his race and were reverted afterwards. In fact, Sainz said in an interview, there was no problems with the car, only a streak of bad luck. Going into Azerbaijan, Carlos' best result was the 7th place. The pressure was building since Albon was consistently ahead of him, finishing P6 frequently and standing higher than him in the championship. Reportedly, on the eve of the Baku race week, James Vowles and Sainz went to dinner and discussed what Carlos would need from the team to be on top. Bang! 2 days later, there was he. In the magical weekend, P2 in qualifying, P3 in the race. James Vowles finally had his breakthrough moment as a team principal. Sainz even made clear following gossip around a potential Red Bull move that making Williams back to glory was his personal project. You can't be more clear than that in any statement. Just when everyone thought Williams had found their consistent momentum after Baku, Singapore presented another challenge. Williams and both their drivers were penalized for an irregular rear wing and disqualified. Carlos was demoted from P13 to P18 on the grid. From that P18 starting position, Carlos delivered a masterpiece of racecraft. He systematically picked off car after car with intelligent overtakes and flawless tire management, showcasing the true art of the smooth operator. By the checkered flag, he had climbed all the way to P8, a brilliant finish that demonstrated pure racing intelligence and tire conservation mastery. So, back to the question, how good is Carlos Sainz actually? Here's what the numbers tells us. Consistency is his superpower. In an era where drivers are judged by peaks, Carlos delivers week after week, year after year, despite some waves of bad luck here and there. He adapts faster than almost everyone. Every team change, every new car, every new challenge, he finds a way to extract maximum performance. His mental resilience is unmatched. From career setbacks to physical pain, from team politics to mechanical failures, Carlos bounces back stronger every single time, and he maximizes opportunities that Singapore 2023 Strategic Masterclass, the Australia 2024 Victory After Surgery, the Baku 2025 Podium, he delivers when it matters most. Carlos Sainz might not have the raw speed of Max Verstappen or the natural talent of Charles Leclerc, but he has something equally valuable, the ability to be exactly where he needs to be when it counts, no matter what life throws at him. And this checkered flag. If this deep dive into Carlos' career opened your eyes to one of Formula One's most underrated talents, smash that like button, subscribe for more Formula One analysis, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Carlos deserves a championship-winning car? And if you want to understand why Verstappen was so brilliant and McLaren had such a terrible weekend in Baku, I made an entire video breaking down their struggles. You can find the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, I will see you in the next one, and keep those engines revving.